Today, in this video, I'm going to take you to the Indus River, which in Hindi or Urdu is called the River Hind. Actually, its name was the Darya Sindh or the River Sindh, which Cyrus the Great changed into Hind. So, this river actually gives the name Hindustan to the Indian subcontinent. Indian subcontinent comprised of Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh. Now it is divided into four countries because of divide and rule, because the British came in 1857 and left in 1947 after 90 years, dividing the Indian subcontinent into these four countries. So I will take you to the place which gives name to the Indian subcontinents, the river Indus, where there is a marvelous bridge which has a geostrategical importance and a great history. So I will tell you the story and the great history of this bridge. So let's begin. I'm Dr. Khurrum Shaukat Yusafzai. Today's video is about this Attock railway bridge built on 24th May 1883 by the British Empire, and this joins the current Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province with Punjab. Before, the Mughal Empire stretched from Kabul to Calcutta. It had Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh as one country. This Indian subcontinent had 75% of the world money. It was like America, the superpower of the world, and it was the richest place on earth. So the British Empire had to colonize it and make slaves of the people of these Indian subcontinent. So it came and it snatched the power from the Mughal Empire, which stretched from the Indian Ocean right up to Kabul. The Mughal Empire finished in 1857. This was the time when the British thought of making this bridge or means of transportation to go right up to Kabul, which was the extent of the Mughal Empire. The Pakhtun tribes or the Pashtun tribes were from Kabul to Indus River to this point. And beyond this, the Pakhtun tribes were also here in Multan, Lahore, and Delhi. The seat of power or the capital was Delhi. But the British, as in the triangulars, you can see they were in Calcutta and also in Bombay and Goa. So they started going from this triangular Goa, Bombay, and Calcutta towards Delhi. So when they reached the Delhi, they wanted to reach the Kabul. And in their army, they recruited the Punjabis and the Bengalis. The Bengalis were recruited from Calcutta, and they were used as the Bengal army to go right up to Delhi. From the Delhi, they started recruiting the Punjabis or the Rajputs or Marhatas or Sikhs or whatever you call them. So they were the slaves to the British Raj as their sipais or soldiers. The officers were the British and they were the ruling class. The soldiers were disposable and they used them for their conquering of their own motherland called the Indian subcontinent, which they left as divide and rule as Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan now. Before, Afghanistan was also part of the Indian subcontinent. Most of the historians are calling Afghanistan as a foreign country, which is totally wrong. As I showed you in the map, the Mughal Empire was right there up till Kabul. And the Mughal Empire came from Afghanistan because they were the grandsons of Genghis Khan. The Babur was the grandson of Genghis Khan. He's buried in Kabul, and his son Humayun is also buried there. But Akbar was actually taken care by the Rajputs or the Punjabis, and his wife was Jodha Akbar. which made him a bit Indian. But basically, he was an Afghan. And so were the Pashtuns. So together they ruled the Indian subcontinent. And the British know this thing, that in order to capture the Indian subcontinent, they have to subdue both the Mughals and their partners, the Pashtuns, and it can only be done if they have a powerful army, and in that army their slaves, the Punjabis and the Bengalis, served. So with their help, they made the army of the Indus. This army of the Indus started from Bombay and Delhi and Calcutta, and it started moving towards the Kabul. So they used the Sikhs, the Ranjit Singh, to reach up till Peshawar, who was a bit successful, but he was killed. His army was wiped out by 1840. So the British, after using the Punjabis, started their advance, and the first Anglo-Afghan war was fought in 1838, 1840, 42. It finished. During this time, they crossed the Indus River at this point by using boats and bridges of the boats. So they used those to transfer their soldiers and some light weapons, but they could not bring the heavy artillery. And because they could not take the heavy artillery, the Pashtuns were successful in defeating the British. So they defeated them very hard in the first Anglo-Afghan war, and only one doctor was left alive. His name was Dr. William Broyden. So when the army was totally annihilated, and he came from Kabul to Jalalabad, as in the famous painting of Lady Sage, he was riding a almost dying horse, which is a very famous painting, and the British celebrated this defeat by putting red cord or piping on their uniforms worn by the Guides cavalry, by the FF regiment in Pakistan, and some of the British regiment to this day, because the British Empire, which was undefeatable, their sun set in Afghanistan, and for that reason they used to call this area as the Northwest Frontier Province, where the sun would set, because the British Empire would say the sun never sets in the British Empire, but it sat down right here in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. That's why they call it the Northwest Frontier Province. They used to call it the frontier because that's the end of the British Empire. So this place was so important strategically that they wanted to capture the frontier, and the frontier started right here from the Indus River or the Attock. The Attock name actually came very late. Before, they used to call it Campbellpur in name of the General or Field Marshal Campbellpur, who defeated the rebels in the War of Independence. The Field Marshal Campbell, his name was put here as Campbellpur, and that is the reason this place is so important. And this place has this Attock fort. So this Campbellpur was the name of this place, which was later changed to Attock by the time of Pakistan. Attock is a Punjabi word, but actual name of this place was Campbellpur. And before that, when this was Afghania province, its name was Hassan Abdal. Abdal is the title of the Yusafzais or Ahmadzais of the Afghan Durrani Empire. So they were called Abdalis. So Hassan Abdal is the name derived from that. So because of the strategic importance, and the British wanted to transfer the heavy artillery, they started digging up a tunnel right under here. But this tunnel, they started in 1858-59, and they finished in 1862, and it almost was completed. Only 200 feet was left, but it started flooding, and disaster was struck. Even the budget was 5 times the original estimate. So the British Empire sent an order to stop the tunnel and immediately start making a bridge, because the Second Anglo-Afghan War was right there. Because of the defeat, they wanted to fight a bigger war, and they trained for like almost 40 years, and it was 1880s. after the defeat of the 1840s. So the second Anglo-Afghan war was right there. So they started making the bridge, and they had the steel structure. On top of the steel structure, they would transfer some military goods, but the train would not go on this bridge. So in 1883, they actually managed to complete that bridge fully, and the train then came from Karachi to Peshawar and from Peshawar to Karachi on 24th May 1843. Although before that, this bridge was used in the Second Anglo-Afghan War to transfer the military things on the. That's why the bottom area is for the military goods, but on top is the train. The train actually came in 1883, but the military goods were transferred at this bottom area. And because of this bottom area, the British managed to actually take revenge of the first Anglo-Afghan war. They burned the covered bazaar in Kabul, and the Afghans still remember it to this day. And General Cotton and General Sage and Willie Boy Cotton, and they were all generals in that war. Although the war were fierce, there was skirmishes from 1878 to 1884, but the British could not win, so they adopted a policy of non-interference right up to the Himalayan mountains near Peshawar. So they left that part of Afghanistan and only concentrated right up to Peshawar. So after this bridge, the train could go, the heavy munitions could go in the train, and the transport was easy, and the bottom part of the bridge was used to carry the military goods by trucks and by cars. So they had a big cantonment in Peshawar, Mardan, Risalpur, and Nowshera, which was because of this bridge. Because if there was no bridge, they could not have done all these things. They could not have made the airports, the military camps, the training institutes in Nowshera, the Chirat and Peshawar, Kohat garrisons and the Aptabad garrison, all depended on this bridge. That is the reason before the bridge, they could only use the Aptabad and Hazara area, but after the bridge, they could use the Kohat, Peshawar, Risalpur, Mardan, and Nowshera for the military purposes. And that is the military significance of this bridge, and also the strategic place of this is very important. So I actually made this video for the people to realize that this 140-year-old piece of engineering marvel actually changed the geopolitical history of this Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in Afghanistan. And even 140 years later, like when the Americans came and they wanted to defeat the Russians in 1980s, 1970 to 80, they had a campaign in Afghanistan, and then later on the Americans were occupying Afghanistan in the war and terror, and these bridges and these things were also important at that time. Although the parallel bridge to this, the new Attock bridge or the Khairabad bridge, was made in 1979, but still the military importance of this is too good. Even the Americans did not use the railway. They actually used the road network to transport their weapons from Karachi to Kabul through the NLC or the military trucks instead of the railway, because this railway bridge could not take the burden of such heavy military equipment for the Americans in war against Russia and later in the war on terror. So this was the arrangement. You can see the Attock fort in the background at the time of First Anglo-Afghan War, that they would use the wooden boats, and on top of the boats there would be a wooden bridge which would use to transport the military things in the First Anglo-Afghan War. And for that they had to pay bribes to the Khattaks, because this bridge was under the Khattaks of Akoda Khattak, the Khushal Khan Khattak family, who were brought from the hills of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, like Khurrum and Orakzai agency, and they were settled here, these Khataks. As you can see, that the tunnel which I was talking about, which is under the water, it was started in 1858, 59, and then it was finished in 1862. But because the shaft started flooding and they could not complete it, although they would have completed it, but the British was in a hurry because the Second Anglo-Afghan War had started by 1880. So, and they could not finish this even after 20 years of work. So, the railway bridge was designed by Sir Guilford Lindsay Molesworth, related to Duke of Edinburgh. So, this guy was the chief of Sri Lankan Railway and also the Indian Railway. He was a marvel of civil engineering, and he designed the bridge such that there is a natural island in the middle of that 600-meter wide Indus River, which is the narrowest, because most of the places more than a kilometer wide. And he used it for pillars, although first they used some steel girders, and then they also made these pillars. Before, the bridge was shaky, so they had to make it strong later on, which I will tell you how. So March 12, 1860, they started the tunnel, and 2 years they completed it, but it couldn't complete by 1862, so they abandoned it. So 1879, the Second Anglo-Afghan War started, as you can see. So they started by 1880 this bridge, and in 3 years, by May, it was complete. Although 1881 they were transporting the goods, as I told you, in the underneath section of the Attock bridge. Although the train went in May 1883, but underneath they were transferring the military goods. So that is the significance which I am emphasizing again and again. By 1925, it was made stronger. This is the artist painting when the bridge was being made. As you can see, the steel girders are being put on the river, but these girders would get damaged till 1925, and earthquakes and the heavy train would shake it. So then later on they had to put like a cemented things, and they used the natural islands, as you can see, for these girders and the pillars. This is the railway bridge by 1895, and these are the forts because they needed the forts to protect it, because by till 1935 the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, or the Northwest Frontier Province, was never under the British control. They were always fighting the British, and there was a chance this bridge would have been damaged. This was the case by 1900, as you can see. As you can see, the bridge design is like a simple one, not like the one after 1925 where the double girders were made. Double span was actually made. This is the situation before 1925. As you can see, it's thin bridge. There is no support underneath, and you can see by 1910 the cemented pillars, you can see, are rising up. They are constructed, the cemented pillars. So by 1910, I think the cemented pillars were completed, and the trains were running on top of it. But by 1910, they made the cemented pillars. This is the lower level for the vehicles in 1920. And 1925, they started making steel girders underneath it, which you can see, to make it stronger. After in 1910, they made the strong cemented brick pillars. And with the pillars, they had like an arch underneath it, which gave it stability, and the shaking stopped, and it became more earthquake proof. So it survived the World War II, the World War One, and the creation of Pakistan, and it's still working. By 1993, you can see they're using it still when Mark Tully came to see from the BBC. In 1979, a parallel bridge was made, which is the new Attock bridge, which is still being used by the GT road traffic. And there is now a third pull for the motorway, third bridge for the motorway. So now there are three bridges on this Indus River. This is the photo in 2004, and this is the current satellite photo of this bridge. You can see in the middle that island which forms the pillars. So this British piece of engineering, the marvel, is still here, and it still serves as the railway connection to the province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, going right up to Peshawar. Although the railway track from Peshawar to Afghanistan to Landi Kotal is damaged in 2004-5 floods, but the train could go to the Afghanistan, and the British had actually made a station after Landi Kotal in Afghanistan, and there was another station in Balochistan Chaman area, and the train could go up to Kandahar. So that is now not working, but the Chaman one is still working. This is the measurement for the water. The water is now very low because of the making of Turbela Dam. The water level has fallen considerably, and after Ghazi Barota, it is even fallen considerably low. This is an island. As I told you, this is a narrow point, choke point of the Indus River. This is the place where Khwarezm Shah jumped with his horse to escape Genghis Khan while he was being chased from Kabul to this place. So he saved his life and went towards Punjab area, Jhelum, and he saved his life, and Genghis Khan did not follow him. Genghis Khan's grandson was Babur. The Mughal Empire later on captured the area from the Delhi Sultanate of Afghans, which were Pashtuns, and the Turkoman, Persian-speaking Uzbek Tajiks, also called Afghans, which started from Mahmud-e Ghaznavi to Ghori to Altamash to Razia Sultana to Lodis and then to Sher Shah Suri. With this fortified bridge is barracks for the for soldiers who protect it. This is the narrow GT road of the old days, which is so narrow. Now the population has increased so much, the dimensions have changed. You can see the barrack structures. This is the barrack structures are also with the Attock Khurd railway station, which is near. I will make a new video on the Attock Khurd railway station, which has a small museum, and this is a sight to see. So I will tell you about history of that railway station, which is near to this bridge on the eastern side. On the western side is Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and the eastern side is Punjab, now the province of Punjab in Pakistan. As you can see the flag. These are the signals which are used even today for the railway traffic. Now the diesel trains are running. Before, the steam trains would run on top of these bridges, and now the diesel trains imported from USA and China are running as broad gauge. This is the Attock Khurd railway station, the board, as you can see. All these antique railway stations and the old railway station has some beauty attached with it, a romanticism. The British Empire had done things which the Muslims of India, Pakistan and the Arab countries cannot do even after 200 years. And they were far ahead. That empire had legacy. As you can see, even today, there are soldiers guarding the bridge from people who can damage it. there are steel gates also on the bridge. Maybe they would close it after the train passed so that nobody could come here in case of emergency, and the heavy iron gates which is bulletproof because they are heavy, the bullets cannot go through. So this is a marvel. This is the British era. You can travel sitting on this manual railway transport system. You can push it on top of this bridge to go from one place to another. That is the western part. You can see in the distance there is another fort over there. So as you can see, what a beautiful sight. And these old signaling systems, that is marvel, and I don't know how long they will survive. Hope my video documented the history of this beautiful bridge, the significance of this area. So after this bridge and the British making these cantonments, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa was tight under the control of the Britain, and they managed to control it, although the skirmishes would continue after they continue right up to the First World War. Even after the finishing of World War I in 1921, there was the Third Anglo-Afghan War, and after Third Anglo-Afghan War, this area officially became the province. Before, like people would say, Durand Line was the time. No, Durand Line was made in 1893 in September, 11 September. But like World War I passed, and then after World War I, the Third Anglo-Afghan War between Afghanistan and the British, which the Afghans lost. Amanullah Khan lost because the tribes over here and the people of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa did not aid in the rebellion and did not help the attacking army of Afghanistan. And he went back, and later on he abandoned Afghanistan. Actually, he went to Italy, and he died there, Amanullah Khan, because he had been facing rebellion from Mullah Qureshi under Bacha Saka. And after that, this area was put under British control, and then in 1947 it became Pakistan. Although the Durand Line is still a disputed line, it's not accepted border by Afghanistan to this day because of the dubious history, and I will make another video on that and talk about the First, Second and Third Anglo-Afghan War, which is known as the Great Game. So this bridge serves as the one of the tools of the Great Game of the war between the superpowers like the Britain and the Russia and the Tsars and the Napoleon. So I would talk about the Great Game, and I also plan to write a book on that because I have done extensive research on that, and the lost history, the wonderful lost history and the lost tribes of this place. I'm going to write a book on this history because it's marvelous and the world should know about it. So please subscribe and to my channel, and also like this video so you can be updated with this wonderful history, because I have done extensive research for more than a decade about these subjects, which I'm bringing it for you. It's not like just an entertainment video. It's full of the history and full of hidden facts which you will not find in books or textbooks. Most of the textbooks in Pakistan are teaching the wrong history, which is not the real history, and I will bring you the facts and the things and show you wonderful things, because this is the place where the Great Game has been played multiple times, the classical Great Game, the new Great Game, and the future Great Game also, because geopolitically this place is very important, and it is strategically important, it is economically important, it is the Silk Route also. And the Pashtuns, the lost tribes, are also wonderful. They are there in the religious textbooks, in the Quran, in the Bible and the Torah. So this is the story which has to be told. and it has to be explored, told, and researched. So I hope you join my channel to find these videos again, and I hope to see you again. So take care and subscribe and like my channel, and hope to see you again. Take care. Goodbye.